All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping into something really clever in the world of finance, a powerful tool called the Asian option.
So let me ask you a question. Imagine you're running a business, and your costs are all over the place. How do you possibly protect yourself against an entire month of crazy price swings? Not just what happens on one specific day.
Let's make this real. Think about an airline. Their actual budget, their real-world cost, isn't based on the price of jet fuel on the 30th of the month. No way. It's based on the average price they paid for fuel every single day, all month long. That's the number that actually matters to their bottom line.
And right there, that's where we hit a snag with the usual financial tools. This brings us right to the heart of the price volatility problem.
You see, your standard off-the-shelf option, well, it's designed to protect you at one single point in time, the expiration date. And that's great, but it leaves you totally exposed to all the ups and downs during the month. And here's the kicker. A single price point on a single day can be a target for manipulation, especially in markets that aren't traded very heavily.
So, what's the fix? How do you solve this puzzle? Well, this is where the genius of financial engineering comes in. They came up with a solution that is, believe it or not, beautifully simple in its core concept.
And here it is, the Asian option. Now, the name might sound exotic, but the key is that one single word, average. Instead of the payoff being based on one price on one day, it's based on the average price over a whole period. And that one little tweak, well, it changes absolutely everything.
Okay, let's put these two side by side. A standard option is basically a bet on that one single final price at expiration, which can be a real nail-biter. But the Asian option, it just smooths all that chaos out by using an average. Now think about it. Lower volatility means lower risk for the person selling you the option. And what does lower risk mean? Yep, a lower price tag. They're typically cheaper.
And you know, this wasn't something just cooked up in an academic lab. The Asian option has a really practical origin story. We're talking Tokyo, 1987. Bankers were trying to solve a real-world headache for their clients. How do you hedge the average price of crude oil? So this thing was born from necessity, not just pure theory.
Okay, so now we get why these things exist. Let's peel back the layers and see how they actually work under the hood.
It turns out they basically come in two main flavors. The most popular one is the average price option. It's pretty straightforward. You take the average price of the asset over time and you compare it to a strike price that was set in stone from day one. Then you've got the average strike option. This one flips the script a bit. Here, the average price actually becomes your strike price, and you compare that to where the asset price lands on the very last day.
Let's run the numbers on a quick example so you can really see it in action. Let's say you have an average price call option with a strike of $22. Over the period, we see three prices, $21, $22, and $24. First, you just do the simple math. Add them up, divide by 3. You get an average of $22.33. Then, the payoff is just that average, $22.33 minus your strike of $22. Boom! The payoff is 33 cents. Simple, right?
Well, the concept is simple, but the math behind figuring out what the option should cost in the first place, oh, that is a whole different ballgame. The reason, and this gets a little nerdy, is that the statistical properties of an average of random prices are notoriously difficult to work with. There's just no clean, simple formula for it.
So because there's no magic formula, the quants, the math wizards of finance, have to pull out the big guns. We're talking a whole toolkit of heavy-duty computer models. They'll run thousands, sometimes millions of simulations of the future, that's a Monte Carlo simulation, or use other complex methods, all just to land on a fair price for one of these things. It's a lot of work.
And this really gets at a fundamental idea you see all over finance, the classic trade-off between getting a better, more tailored solution and the complexity that comes along with it.
So let's break down that trade-off. On the one hand, the benefits are fantastic. You get reduced volatility, which means a lower cost. You get protection from manipulation. And best of all, the whole thing actually aligns with your business reality. But there's always a but, right? The drawbacks are real too. The math is incredibly complex, which means there's always a risk the model is just plain wrong. And because these are custom products, they aren't traded on a public exchange, which means they can be harder to buy and sell.
Okay, so with that trade-off in mind, let's circle back to the real world. Who is actually using these instruments day in and day out?
And the list of users makes perfect sense. It's the airlines, just like we talked about. It's commodity producers, trying to lock in a fair average selling price for their oil or their grain. It's huge multinational companies trying to manage the crazy swings in currency rates over a whole quarter. There's even a clever use in corporate finance for structuring employee stock options.
Look, if you take one single thing away from this explainer, let it be this. The absolute magic of the Asian option is that it perfectly aligns the financial hedge with the operational reality of a business. It's a tool that is custom-built for a world that runs on averages.
Which leaves us with a final question to think about. We often think of simplicity as being safe, but in a world that's filled with complex, volatile risks, maybe the safest thing you can have isn't simplicity at all. Maybe it's a tool that is complex in exactly the right way to match the risk you're actually facing. Thanks for watching.